Hi, my name is Kevin Anderson, and I'm here to talk about data journalism. Data journalism has been around for a long time, but in the last few years it's gained a new currency, a new vibrancy. And I think some of that is because we've seen a lot of much easier ways to do it, whereas in the past it was a very specialist tool used mainly by investigative journalists to uncover stories and to do deep investigations. But now with a lot of online tools like Google Docs and Tableau Public to show those kind of data visualizations, we're seeing a new type of journalism emerge. So what is data journalism? Because I think it's one of those terms where it's talked about a lot in journalism circles, but a lot of people still are a little unsure about what the meaning is. So when I think about data journalism, it's tools that help you make sense of numbers. And for a long time that was software like Excel, a spreadsheet program. And the great thing about that is if you get a large group of numbers from, let's say, the government or from a whistleblower or a leaker, you can quickly make sense of those numbers. You can see the patterns. You can find the outliers, the numbers that don't fit into the patterns. And those can help you uncover stories. It's not that you're going to sit there and read out a spreadsheet on air, on radio, or on television, or show it online, but it's just something that helps add depth and complexity, depth and context to the story, rather. I think the other thing is that when you think about some of the major stories of our time, when you think about the Eurozone crisis, the global financial crisis, global warming, all these stories are complex, and a lot of them are driven by numbers, are driven by a lot of data. So how do you present that information? How do you present that story to your audiences? And I think that's where data journalism has really come into the fore. It's not just about the analysis of numbers, it's about the presentation. And that's the area that's really exciting, and I think that a lot of journalists, a lot of editors, a lot of news organizations have really embraced, is that it's not just about being able to analyze numbers, it's about being able to tell stories with those numbers and to engage audiences in deeply complex stories, but help them navigate it in a much more interesting and engaging way. Again, you're not going to sit there and read out a long strain of numbers, but now you can see them visually, you can explore them, your audience can actually interact with the numbers, and not just in the numbers themselves, but in interesting visualizations and things that look good on television, that look amazing on tablets and online and on a lot of new emerging platforms, possibly even soon on digital television applications. So there's a huge amount of excitement around being able to tell stories that in the past wouldn't have really worked in television, or definitely wouldn't work in radio, but now you've got that opportunity to explore storytelling in different ways. And I think that brings us sort of to another point. In the past, just in the recent past, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of these techniques were really, as I said, specialist teams, and not just specialist investigations teams, but also specialists in terms of data, specialists in terms of online presentation, and you really had to have a high degree of skill to do some of these. The great thing is that, especially with the analysis, the tools have come down to a point where almost any desk journalist can get a sense of how to use these and use them quite easily. And that's some of the things that we explore in the Data Journalism Masterclass, is ways that no matter where you are in the organization, whether you're a journalist, an editor, or even a member of the graphics team, you can start using these tools to really enhance and add to your journalism, whether it's a simple chart or graph, or whether it's a much more complex visualization that you'd like to do that will add both to your story on air, but also your story online. And the accessibility and the ease of use of these applications, I think, has really opened up the possibilities for data journalism from it being a very specialist type of tool into something that a lot more journalists can engage with, and therefore you can produce these excellent projects for your audience. So that, I think, is the opportunity of data journalism, and it's one of the things that we explore in the Data Journalism Masterclass. And one of the things about it is a lot of techniques and tools that come around, they get journalists excited, but they might not engage audiences. And what we're seeing is that it's just the opposite with data journalism. People spend a lot of time exploring the visualization, spend a lot of time with these complex stories and engaging with them. So I think for me as a journalist, one of the exciting things about data journalism is instead of the simple superficial stories that seem to always be popular with audiences, we can really bring audiences along on a journey and explore some of the complex and difficult issues that our societies face. And that is always exciting as a journalist, because if we can tackle these big problems, then we can have a deeper conversation in society on how to solve them.